Senator Cruz told the Attorney General you should be prosecuted.
Yeah. I'd have to laugh at that. I should be prosecuted. If the point that you are making is that the grant that was funded as a sub-award from EcoHealth to Wuhan created SARS-CoV-2, that's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
If it did come from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
I totally
This committee will allow the witness to respond.
I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator, because if you look at the viruses that were used in the experiments, that were given in the annual reports, that were published in the literature, it is molecularly impossible.
No one's saying those viruses caused it.
It
no
is
one is alleging that
molecularly.
those viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That
you
is
can't
not.
get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
I'd have to laugh at that.
I don't think Fauci's laughing now because we have a comeback that is 5 years in the making. Rand Paul on Monday asked, and I quote, "Today I will reissue my criminal referral of Anthony Fauci to the Trump Department of Justice," declared Paul on X on Monday. "Perjury is a crime and Fauci must be held accountable." Yeah, let's talk about this.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth. Somebody on top of the line.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty, and this is the Afternoon Drive. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That will give you notification of my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Hey, please like and share this video. It's the only way that we can get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of the Afternoon Drive.
So, I mean, I think I know your answer to this, but should Fauci just step down? I mean, it doesn't seem to me that this is a guy who should be running the NIH anymore. I mean, enough's enough already.
I mean, if we don't have room for him in prison, I mean, stepping down would probably be okay. But,
you know, I think we've had a sea change of opinion. Everybody left of center was saying this was a conspiracy. No way could it have happened in the Wuhan lab. Now even Dr. Fauci is saying that we should investigate it. But the emails paint a disturbing picture of Dr. Fauci from the very beginning worrying that he had been funding gain-of-function research. And he knows it to this day, but hasn't admitted. We have to get Democrat counterparts that will actually use the committee hearings to investigate this. But so far, it's been such a partisan support for Dr. Fauci that he can do no wrong. But really, there's a lot of evidence that he has a great deal of conflict of interest, and that if it turns out this virus came from the Wuhan lab, which it looks like it did, that there's a great deal of culpability in that he was a big supporter of the funding. But he also was a big supporter to this day of saying we can trust the Chinese on this. We can trust the Chinese scientists. And I think that's quite naive and really should preclude him from the position that he's in.
I have to admit that during Rovid, the one brief levity that I felt, the one breath of fresh air, the one moment of sanity that I enjoyed in having to fight back on the maddening mandates, and I lived in what was supposed to be a red state, but we had a governor who in the very beginning decided to give Gavin Newsom and Andrew Cuomo a run for their money. He was the first governor to shut down everything, shut down schools, shut down daycares and all youth programs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then finally, little Mike began to open the state, and where I lived, we were right on the Michigan border. And of course, Cruella DeWittmer really had Michigan into heavy-duty lockdown. But I was pastoring a church in that area at the time. I refused to close. I refused to enforce wearing the hat. I have to speak in code because every time I've ever addressed this subject, I get in all kinds of trouble here. Other guys talk openly about it now and don't get in any trouble anymore. For some reason, I still do, so I have to speak in code. We didn't force people to wear the hat. If you wanted to shake somebody's hand, you wanted to sit with somebody who wasn't a family member, we allowed that. We didn't do every other seat, every other row, just didn't do any of that. We functioned normally. That all said, Anthony Fauci became the face for the left and the progressives as the instrument that literally brought down the Trump administration. And under fear, people whisked Joe Biden in there. And again, Mike Pence, the enemy within, not only stabbed Trump in the back on the handling of the certification of the election, but when this pandemic hit, it was Mike Pence who went to Trump and said, "You've got to have Anthony Fauci head this thing." Trump didn't know who he was. Some of us did. This is the guy that brought us AIDS in spades, and he had the magic elixir that was going to fix the AIDS crisis, and what it did was it made people sicker and die faster. Is this starting to sound familiar? Fast forward, now we're in the pandemic, and of course Fauci is saying, we got to have the vaccine. And of course, when Trump was in office, Trump thought that, we're going to use Operation Warp Speed and we'll get it out quick, and then we can return to normal. Of course, Fauci kept saying, it'll be years, decades. Then right after the election results declared that Biden was the winner, Anthony Fauci comes out about 2 weeks later and says, poof, we got it. We're ready to roll. And you all know the nightmare we lived through with Love Potion number 9 and the skewing of all of the data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But Rand Paul facing down Fauci time after time in Congress over gain of function. Your lab produced this. Your lab made this happen. And of course, Fauci being so smug and on every TV channel, every news program, every podcast, any radio station that had 1 watt of power, it seemed like Anthony Fauci was there. And some of us enjoyed watching Rand Paul hold his ground with Fauci because, number one, Rand Paul actually is a doctor and was actually treating people for COVID. Fauci is a guy who wears a lab coat and collects paycheck. Highest paid government official at nearly $500,000 a year. And people were calling him St. Fauci. He was saving us, and he was telling, preschool children on the Today Show, you can't hug grandma and grandpa yet because you'll kill them. But I went up to the North Pole and I vaccinated Santa Claus, and no, Santa Claus won't kill your family. Because some little 3-year-old boy asked Dr. Fauci, will Santa Claus come in my house and give my parents corona and they will die? And when Fauci gave his answer of, I went to the North Pole and I vaccinated Santa Claus, the hosts of the Today Show were like, or maybe it was Good Morning America. It was one of those shows. Oh, isn't that sweet? No, it's not sweet. That this maniac, this guy that's, literally the modern day equivalent of Joseph Mengele, the doctor who came up with the final solution, that he's traumatized preschool children to think that a fictional character could kill their family. I found nothing sweet and awe about that. People in states like California being arrested by a Gestapo police state for sitting by themselves on the beach just to have a moment of sanity. And Gavin Newsom is complaining about the National Guard and ICE deporting illegal criminal aliens. That's a police state we can't have, but you being by yourself or just taking a stroll along the beach during Rovid could land you in jail. And we watched authoritarianism, and may I see your papers, please? If you want to come into this establishment, you must prove that you have taken the magic elixir. And we knew where all this was going. And that's the reason why we have digitized everything to the point that they could turn off your bank accounts, turn off your driver's license, turn everything off if you don't obey, if you don't comply. And Rand Paul was one of the few voices really pushing back against it.
You keep coming back to personal attacks on me that have absolutely no relevance to reality.
Do you think anybody has had more influence over
let
our
me
response to
finish.
this than you have? Do you think
Madam
it's a great
Chair, can I-
success? Do you think it's a great success what's happened so
Right.
far? Do you think
You-
the
you have
lockdowns
said-
were good for our kids? Do you think we slowed down the death rate? More people have died now under President Biden than did under President Trump. You are the one responsible. You are the architect. You are the lead architect for the response from the government, and now 800,000 people have died.
Right.
So you think it's a winning success, what you've advocated for government?
Senator, first of all, if you look at everything that I said, you accuse me of in a monolithic way telling people what they need to do. Everything that I've said has been in support of the CDC guidelines. Wear a mask, get boosted.
And you've advocated to make it coercive and done
look
through
at
force, and
everything
you've
that I've
advocated that
said.
it be done by mandate.
Right.
You've advocated that your infallible opinion be dictated by law.
Right.
I've always been pro-vaccine. I'm just simply against authoritarianism and against mandates. Right. The anger that's developed with you, Dr. Fauci, is that you don't want to give us advice. You want to tell us what to do. You think you are the science, and that anybody responds to you, how dare you? How dare you criticize science? As if you somehow are science. That kind of arrogance, that hubris is really, that's where the anger's coming towards you. If you were one doctor among hundreds of doctors in the government who gave advice, I don't think anybody, people might object to your advice, but there wouldn't be such a degree of anger. But you are so certain that you're right that you're not willing to hear anyone else. 3 epidemiologists, of which you are not even an epidemiologist, but 3 epidemiologists prominent in their field, Oxford, Stanford, and Harvard. You maligned them. You spoke openly with Dr. Collins, and you did not disagree that let's paint them as fringe. You went after them and said, we will do a public takedown, not in Science or Nature or Lancet, in Wired, in The Nation, a left-wing publication. You've engaged in base politics. You wonder why there's so much anger? You're not an objective scientist. You've lost that long ago. And so many of the things that people want, it's like they want to know why you're forcing their children to be vaccinated when 95% of people at risk have been vaccinated. Over 95% of people over 65. It's a huge voluntary success. And yet you won't rest until you force every child to get this. So yes, there's a great
Senator
deal
Paul,
of
your
dissatisfaction
time
with
has
you, and many people want you to go, but nobody wishes you violence.
Fauci thought he had it made in the shade. He got the Joe Biden pardon. And now, thanks to the New York Times, we discover the auto pen. And now there will be a case that will come forward. If the pardon was issued via auto pen, can Biden actually prove he knew who was being pardoned and for what? I mean, the cognitive state of Biden is definitely beyond in question. And does that now null and void everything signed by the auto pen? Bum, ba-dum, bum. Oh, let's do this right. Now, Rand Paul is using that to go after Fauci again. And there's so much he would like to nail this guy on. The gain of function, the little mental anguish he put the country through, vaccinating children and the scare tactics. And I was on flights where I'd fall asleep and some, flight attendant would wake me up because my mask, instead of being here, had fallen to here and would wake me up to tell me, pull it up. I watched flight attendants get rude with parents of toddlers whose children kept pulling the mask down. It was insane what we went through. And there would be Fauci with that smug smile. I am science. And now that we know the numbers were fudged, Fauci even had to come out and admit during the Biden era that, yeah, there were people dying with COVID, but not necessarily from COVID, because, hospitals got more money over the ROVID diagnoses. Rand Paul wants to know, hey, who made money on Love Potion number 9?
And furthermore, We've been asking you, and you refuse to answer, whether anybody on the vaccine committees gets royalties from the pharmaceutical companies. I asked you last time, and what was your response? We don't have to tell you.
Right.
We've demanded them through Freedom of Information Act, and what have you said? We're not going to tell you. But I tell you this, when we get in charge, we're going to change the rules, and you will have to divulge where you get your royalties from what companies, and if anybody in the committee has a conflict of interest, we're going to learn about it. I promise you that.
Oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby. This is getting good. This is one of the things I'm really focused on because I really do believe that Anthony Fauci is just evil personified, and I mean that. What he is responsible for, what he put this country and countries of the world through, he absolutely must be held accountable. And on this point, I say, God bless you, Rand Paul. Hey, Trump Department of Justice, we know how you botched Epstein. Don't botch this.